Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I have a geometry lesson to share with you. We're going to be doing exploring quadrilaterals, and this is the previous lesson that we did, but we are going to be working through our geometry and number main lesson book by Live Education, and we're going to continue these lessons with a new project. If you want to check out the tutorial on this lesson, you can find that link in the description box below. So we're going to be using our Live Education Waldorf curriculum for grade 5 for inspiration for this project. We're going to be doing something similar to this image here, exploring quadrilaterals. And we've previously done it in our main lesson block, and it looks like this, but we're going to do today's project a little bit differently. So I am using my Strathmore paper pad. This is a drawing paper pad. It's 9 inches by 12 inches. It is spiral bound, which can lead to a few challenges when you're trying to use your straight edge, but you can also use loose paper if you'd like. I would recommend using at least 9 inches by 12 inches. I'm going to mark on the page a lot closer to the bottom of the page. I'm going to do it this way so that I can estimate an eyeball. Okay, 2 and 10. Okay. Next, I'm going to use this L bracket. Then I'll continue to measure 8 inches. Then we can connect with the top here. Okay, so this is 8 inches, and if you wanted to do the midpoint, you would do 4 inches and 4 inches and 4 inches and 4 inches, and then you could connect them and you would have a square within the square, but it would be like perfectly centered. That works out just great. The only problem is, and it's not really a problem, but when you start to then measure, if you were to do them 4 inches, then your hypotenuse or the line of your next square is not, it's going to be a little bit hard to find the midpoint when you're using inches. So then for our project, we just flipped it and used the centimeters, and then we found that it was a little bit easier. But today I want to try something a little bit different. And instead of going to the midpoint, I would like to just go 1 inch down on each side. So I'm going to put a little mark, 1 inch here, and 1 inch here, and 1 inch from the bottom here, and then 1 inch over here. Okay, and so when we connect these, we're still going to have a quadrilateral, but as we move through the design, it's going to make something that is a bit of a, possibly an optical illusion of sorts, and I think it's going to look really neat. So, and also, this is, in my opinion, slightly easier because we're always going to be measuring just 1 inch rather than the midpoint all the way through. So now that we have this square, now we're going to do the same thing and measure 1 inch down. And you can do this in centimeters, you can do 2 centimeters, or you can choose whatever increment you want. And let's see. And you'll get a similar shape, as in it'll look like it's turning, but it will look different depending, or rather the speed at which it will turn will be different depending on the increments that you use. So let's go ahead and do an inch on this side. And we're going to be coloring these in, but you don't have to. I think it can look amazing without filling it in. But I do want to possibly add some color. I think that was my tick mark. I made it quite small. Okay, so you can already see this movement, and you can see that we still have squares every time. So we're going to just continue trying to be as accurate as I can. I'm using a 2B pencil and it's causing some smudging. So I'm going to switch out my pencil to one that's a little bit more firm. And this one I think will be good. And I'm going to continue here. I'm going to do one more with you, and then I will catch up with you towards the end, because this can take a little while. And you can go as small as you would like. You don't need to go all the way until it's super tiny. But I am, and also, if you don't want this to take quite this long, you can start with a smaller square. We started with 8 inches. You could do something smaller like 4 inches, and then just do a few squares. Okay, so I'm going to catch up with you in just a little bit and we'll see how this looks. Okay, so I'm getting to some of the last squares I can do this size. Okay, so I think that what I might consider doing, and probably would have been nicer if I'd started up maybe at one box previous, is I actually want to make the squares a little bit smaller. So, or rather the increments a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this last line, this last box, and show you that I'm going to just switch it up, and instead of doing 1 inch, I'm going to go down to 1 centimeter. You can see the difference that's going to make. So go right here. Oops, that was not the right side. Okay, so we're going to connect these two, these two. I like the way that looks a little better. I'm going to clean up these lines right here. And I'm going to continue doing 1 centimeter for a few more boxes. And then you can see that that allows us to add a few more in here and make them a little bit smaller. All right, I'm gonna continue doing a few more and I'll catch up with you in just a bit. All right, this is looking pretty good, but I think I'm going to change the increment again. Instead of going 1 centimeter, I'm going to do 1/2 centimeter. And I'm gonna continue that all the way around. Just double check that one. Yep, I was incorrect with that first one. All right, it's getting a bit tiny. It's getting a bit more difficult. So I'm going to do maybe a couple more boxes and I will catch up with you again. Okay, so we're getting really tiny here. I think for the remainder, I'm going to just do 1, maybe 2 millimeters. Do 2 millimeters. This will be a little bit challenging because it's getting quite tiny, but let's see if we can do it. You could also freehand this at this point just because it's going to be quite small, but I'm going to continue with the ruler and the measurements. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more boxes and I will meet back with you. All right, so I think I'm gonna stop there. And now I'm going to choose some color pencils to color this in. And I'm thinking of doing possibly light to dark. Could be kind of cool. So let's see how that looks. But I want to use a variety of yellows and oranges. So I'm just gonna pop open the remainder of my Lyra Color pencils and pull out every yellow there is, because there are many shades of yellow. And I want to make sure that we have all of them before we get started. Okay, let's check out these. Now these are from multiple sets, so it's possible that some of the yellows are the same. So let's find out if they are labeled, and then we're just going to go from light to dark. So this says 600, 05, 06, 07. This is the same. 04, 05. So use up the smaller ones first. 02 and 05 as well. So we're going to start with these colors here. I'm going to sharpen them. Okay, let's start with the center here. One thing I noticed was that even when I switched to a harder pencil, I still created a ton of smudging. So I would recommend, if you were doing this for the first time, I would recommend just using a marker to begin with, a felt tip marker. I intended to outline everything, but on reflection, I probably could have just started with this to begin with, and then I would have avoided all of this smudging. But let's just continue, and hopefully if you do this project, you can avoid those mishaps. Oops, this is quite tiny. And since we're going from light to dark, if you do go over any of the lines, you can always go over it with the darker color since it's going from light to dark. You can see these yellows look almost identical. Okay, so let's continue with the oranges. So that last one was 7. This is 9. This is 8. This is also 8. This is 13. This is 9. So we have 2 that are the same. I want to see what this color looks like. You know, I think I'm going to include that one, even though it's part of the brown family. Oh, this is 15. We already have 13. Add the 84 along with it. 84 and 85 and 31. So 8, 9. What do we leave off with? 7. Okay, so let's work with these colors next. I like how subtle the changes are between these colors. And I only regret that I didn't do everything with black fine liner to begin with. But we will outline it. Now you can really start to see the changes in the colors. Working with this color palette is one of my favorites. It's been my favorite for a long time. I thought I would sort of get tired of it, but I have not. So I didn't see 14, but I'm going to look one more time to make sure I haven't missed it by any chance. Okay, I don't see 14, but it's also possible that this set doesn't come with that color. This is a 72 piece set, but it is mixed at this time at least with 3 sets, and so we do have doubles. It's possible that we also went through some of these colors already, or that it didn't come with all of the colors listed. Okay, so that was number 15. Let's see. Let's see the colors that come next. That's 17, 21, 18. We already have 21. We'll use the small one first. 26. We already have 17. Yep, we have 17. 27 and 24. That's 27, 24. Okay, let's see here. It's also 27, 28. 24, we have 31, 34, 93, and 35. That one here, and let's just double check that we don't have any other ones over here. This one is 29. I'm not sure that I want to do the lighter pinks. I'm trying to move towards darker colors as we get to the outside. So I'm going to skip that. But here's 33. And this one is 94. We'll do that towards the end. Actually, that's probably more than we need because we're almost towards the end. And 93. This is 94 and 93. Okay. I'm going to put these off to the side. And we can continue. Oh, this one's going to need a little bit of sharpening. That's a beautiful color. I think this would look stunning as a watercolor as well, especially if you used resist for the lines. I think that would look really spectacular. I really love these color pencils. I think the colors are really rich and vibrant, and I find that they're a nice balance between a really hard color pencil and a waxy crayon. I feel like it's a really good balance between the two, so I really appreciate these quite a bit. And normally I'd be moving my paper all around while I'm coloring, and I'm just trying to keep it in one position for your sake. So I'm getting into some awkward maneuvers here. Oh, I really, really love the way that's looking a lot. Let's continue. This one is 18. Okay, let's be really close to the same color. I should have gone one shade darker because that's awfully close. So I'm just gonna give it a light, like very light coloring. And I'm gonna come in with one shade darker only because that's very similar. And I know I did that a lot with the yellows, but the yellow blocks were so small, I didn't mind using colors that were really similar. But as we're getting into these outer blocks, I do want to vary the color a little bit more because we only have a few more blocks to do. So I'm just gonna do a really light color here. Because there is still wax in here, you can't layer quite. So like if it's really dark, then you're not gonna be able to layer and get that other color. So if it's a light shading, then you have a little bit more flexibility in adding your color above it and just getting some really nice variations. So this is going to be kind of a berry red. So if we do that one here, which is 24, 26, 27 is going to be quite similar. I don't want to do this pinky color. We have this color, which is going to be kind of a berry color. So now we're going to need to see what some of these colors look like. So this is 24. And these two colors are quite similar. Okay, and I don't think we'll do 27 because that's too similar. 33, oh, that's gorgeous. And 94, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let's just make sure we don't need one of these. That's quite similar. So let's just see that we don't have another one. Okay, so let's do these three colors. 24 and then 26. I don't know which color we should do. They're awfully similar. I think we'll do this one first. Okay, last color. This is quite similar, but we're gonna go for it anyway. I'm glad that we didn't do the pinks because I did want to go darker as we went outward. You could do the opposite, going from light to dark and do the very center, the darkest color. And you could use, you know, shades of green and blue, for instance, which would look really beautiful as well. Okay, so that is done. I really love the way it looks, but I am going to try to outline the entire thing with my black Zig fine liner. This is 05, and let me show you what it looks like when it's done. I love the way this one turned out, especially with the black outlining. I feel like it really makes this image pop. I love twisting the paper around because then you can really see the optical illusion of this geometric design. I think it would look stunning with watercolors, especially with some resist instead of black lines. You can get so creative with this project. If you'd like to see some of our other geometry lessons, you can tap on the screen and see that complete playlist. That playlist is also in the description box below. And if you want to see how we're homeschooling on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.